All your life, you've wanted to be a rock star. But before you can play in a stadium of adoring fans, you'll need to write songs, rehearse, record a demo, hire crew. They put semicolons in between all of those things. So just call Cam and I'll make the back of your box slap. That's not a semicolon. Semicolons separate complete sentence fragments, like you write an entire... Anyway, none of it is cheap, and there's still rent to pay. What? Period. Hang on. None of it is cheap, and there's still rent to pay. Period. Lowercase yourself, comma. Play in the best venues, hang out, and climb your way to stardom one step at a time. I think that it was supposed to be improve yourself. Play in the best venues, hang out, and climb your way to stardom one step at a time. Jackie Fox, you made a great game here. Just call me. I'll make the back of your box slap. Today on the board, boys.
Rock Hard, 1977.
One of the landmark years for rock and roll albums, so that's a good title. A 3-point title.
Why, thank you, Grammar Nazi Cam, for that introduction to Season 15.
But I'm also a music trivia Nazi, so 1977, let's go down the list. Asia, Steely Dan. Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. My Aim Is True, Elvis Costello. Out of the Blue, ELO. The Clash. The Ramones put out an album. Aerosmith put out an album. The Eagles put out an album. Who else put out an album in that year? A lot of people, I bet. I bet Bowie had an album in 77.
Hey, Cam, are you still listening to the top albums of all time?
I did kind of lay off around 220, but I need to get back into that. I do love listening to albums. Oh, Billy Joel, The Stranger, which if you're Elton John, I'm sure had an album too. I'm not a big Billy Joel guy. I should be, but I did love The Stranger when I was young because it's got Scenes from an Italian Restaurant. It's got Anthony's song, I'm Moving Out. It's got Don't Go Changing to Try and Please Me. Sorry, do you guys want to talk about something else?
Well, this is Season 15, Episode 3. Tonight on the docket, Rock Hard, 1977. This is your board boy, Drummer Rob.
Drummer Rob.
Yeah.
All right. It's your boy hitting it like it's hot, TK.
Jeremy, we're going to have you go, buddy.
Me next? All right.
Yeah, you're a board boy, right?
Yep. Well, I'm a guest today.
No, I think he's officially a board boy now, right?
Word.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm also the drummer for a band, Rock Hard Candy Rush, and my name is Bam Bam, a.k.a. Jeremy Thoman.
And it's your boy, Rock and Roll Cam, 1977 man, a.k.a. Blinker McDoinker, a.k.a. Cam on the mic, DJ Cam, 98.5, the 70s.
Cam the Candy Man.
Guess,
wait, hold on. Is it?
Are there any famous bands that had two drummers?
There have been a couple bands that have two drummers.
Yeah.
I can't name them off the top of my head.
Didn't Coheed and Cambria try something like that?
No, I don't think so.
All right, well, I'll just be the front man. That's fine.
Okay.
Of the Board Boys band.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you can be the drummer. Cause
right.
I really can't drum. And that's the hardest thing for me to do when we play rock band is the drums.
Yeah.
I don't really play any musical instrument, but I do like me some rock band.
Okay. Is Cam DJ Dad or MC Mom?
When we were DJ Dad, MC Mom, we all had pseudonyms, and my name in DJ Dad, MC Mom was Sack Disaster, which is where that came from.
Oh, is that why that's your name on everything?
Yep.
If you haven't listened to the podcast the whole time, we probably haven't talked about musical backgrounds for a while, but Campbell, you were a previous musician in a earlier life.
And so was Tim.
And so was Tim, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how we know each other.
Yeah, so we could form the Board Boys band somehow.
We could form the Board Boys band.
I used to play the drums.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do. I'd just be the hype man.
You could play the tambourine.
The tambourine.
Yeah.
Well, when you're in high school, the guy who doesn't know how to play anything, you make him the bass player. But once you learn a little bit about music, it becomes very clear that you need a very good bass player if you want to be a good band, because it's it ties it all together. The rhythm section of your band is very important live, right? So.
Well, much like the game tonight, I am just gonna keep my day job.
Probably should. All game.
All game and not become a rock star.
I just want to point out, but in case I forget to mention it in this game, I've played it twice now, and if you get if you skip your day job in this game 3 times, you get fired from it. In both games, I was just like, I'll work my day job the first round of the game and then never go back. And even if I need the money, I'm not going back. And I stuck true to that both times.
So bands with 2 drummers, Allman Brothers have 2 drummers.
Okay.
And then not necessarily 2 drummers playing at the same time, but the Parliament Funkadelic basically had multiple musicians of every, flavor, and they would just play straight.
One
so
of
that
my
people would take a
first
break.
concerts I ever went to was the P-Funk
Where at?
in Cedar Falls when
Okay.
I was in college.
Did George Clinton roll his old bones out there after an hour or two? And yeah.
It was a long show. Like it's just a whole bunch of people jamming out. A pretty heavy candy smell in the air.
Yeah.
Both times I've seen Parliament Funkadelic, they have played until the venue shut them down, and then the drummer and everybody just sung on stage with no power. So
really?
yeah, for like 20 more minutes, they just continued to play while the lights were out, and everybody was like, the crew was all packing up, and everybody was just standing around. So
Yeah, I didn't know who the Parliament Funkadelic were until I saw that movie that they were in.
yeah, PCU.
Yeah, PCU. I love that movie so
Me too.
much.
I love that movie. Yeah.
And so as soon as I saw them in that movie, a couple years later, I was like, they're coming to Cedar Falls. Let's go.
I still say Close Enough for Funk
Yeah.
from that movie. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
George Clinton seems like a dude that you'd want to hang out with.
I'm sure he's wild, yeah. And Parliament
he's-
and Funkadelic are both awesome on their own, and then they did the whole collective.
Yeah. Last time I saw him, he cut his hair off and was like wearing a suit, so it was really weird.
Whoa.
Yeah.
He went corporate?
How
did.
old do you guys think George Clinton is now? 80?
But 80 something, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Whew. I like Not Just Knee Deep. That's my song. Wow, 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 wow. That, you know that one?
Yeah, yes.
And then what's that rap group that sampled that for Me, Myself, and I? De La Soul.
Doesn't the Rush drummer have enough drums for 2 drummers? Isn't like
Yeah.
doesn't he have
He's
like
awesome.
an insane kid or
Yes,
something?
he does, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Rip Neil Peart.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Didn't another guy from Rush die too?
No.
It was just Neil Peart.
Yeah. They played with the guy from Tool. I think they played with maybe Dave Grohl. They played a couple like random like tributes and stuff. So
Jason Segel. Remember then Freaks and Geeks how Jason Segel's character was obsessed with Neil Peart.
didn't
And he kept trying to add pieces to his drum kit, and that was like how he decided how good of a drummer he was. He's like, my kit has 72 pieces.
didn't they play a bunch of Rush in what's the movie with him and Paul Rudd where they're like best friends?
Yeah,
Yeah. Is it best friend?
I Love You, Man.
I Love You, Man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because my wife and I have a joke. I Love You, Man, and P.S. I Love You came out like in the same year, and they're vastly different movies. And so we could never remember the name of either of them, so we just called them conglomerately P.S. I Love You, Man.
Love it.
But one had Paul Rudd and one had
Rudd Paul.
not Rudd Paul.
Ron Paul.
A dude with an English accent that I can't think of right now.
Hugh Grant.
No.
Who else doesn't act anymore that was famous and like got canceled or something? Jude Law.
Oh yeah. Did Jude Law get canceled?
I think so. I think he was like cheating on his wife real bad or something like that.
It's Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And in that movie, I think he died, but wrote like letters to his wife or something, and she keeps finding them or reading them.
Oh,
or-
man.
Yeah, like,
Sounds boring.
so one is super like depressing, and one is hilarious. I love You, Man.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I don't want to watch PSA. Now that I'm a dad, everything makes me cry. I don't know what happened.
That'll happen, man. Campbell, top 3 guitarists for you.
Ooh.
I don't know enough about music to know 3 guitar. I mean, like, if you name them, I'll know, but like, I wouldn't care enough.
I don't. That's not usually how I quantify things because I'm a
Okay.
songs and albums and bands guy. But
Okay.
hang on, my 3 favorite guitarists are
How about your top 3 musicians?
ever.
Sure. Forever.
Uh,
Do you want me to come back?
yeah. You come back to me. Ask Jeremy. Top
Nah.
3 musicians.
This
I'm
is
like,
like a Cam question.
yeah, I'm like Rob. I don't follow
maybe a
music
Tim
enough.
question. I don't know.
Well, the first guitarist that comes to my head is Jimi Hendrix.
Oh yeah.
That guy is fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me think. It's a tough question.
I really like Angus Young
Yeah.
Yeah.
because I like AC/DC.
Okay.
But like Jimmy Page invented
Yep.
hard rock.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then like the Beatles riffs, like I think in their early mid were like, I don't think anybody could have written like I think people could go do what the Beatles did in the late Beatles now, but like I don't know if anybody could write Day Tripper, which is insane. But like I'm a songs and hooks guy, like it's in terms of just straight up skill.
I'm talking like proficiency.
Dude, there are some guys right now that are just wild at the guitar.
Yeah, it's so true.
The dudes from Animals Leaders and the dude from Polyphia, they're crazy good at the guitar.
Who does that crazy riff in front of that? You can cut this out.
In front of the stacks?
No, I can't remember the name of the song. But I used to have this song that I downloaded off like Napster. And the song at the beginning of it said with blah, blah, blah opening. And it was like some crazy like guitar opening. And like it had a name for it too. But I cannot remember what
Are you talking about that Van Halen song?
Yes.
Meltdown? Or is that what it's called? Meltdown? Like, I think you're thinking of a Van Halen song.
Very possible. So maybe Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Yep, he'd be good.
I'm gonna change my top 3 to something.
Eruption guitar solo.
Eruption. Yeah, I was saying Meltdown.
Yes,
Eruption. Yeah.
That's the beginning of what song?
Is it the beginning of Running with the Devil? I think it's on Running with the Devil, right? Down, running with the devil.
I mean, that just says Eruption is a song by
It's
Van
a song.
Halen.
Yeah, it's a song, but it leads into something.
Okay.
I'm gonna change the top 3 to something I think makes sense with this episode. Top 3 like fantasy like shows. Like who would I go see if I could? And I have a top 3 for that, I think.
Okay.
In the number 3 spot, I would want to see there's still so many, but I would want to see, because it would have to be things I can't see now, because I got to put my money where my mouth is if it's now. But let's say I would want to see Yes during like the early 70s albums. Number 2 would be the Roches. And the all-time number 1 is I would want to go see the Fania All-Stars back when Hector Lavoe was still alive.
If there was one that I would want to see, I think it'd be Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because I remember I just listened to they have 4 albums just like labeled 1, 2, 3, 4 or something.
Yeah.
I used to listen to that all the time. Had that box set.
I didn't like Led Zeppelin very much until I got older. I think it was just because there were so many like kind of copycat bands and like it was just kind of a sort of a fratty vibe around Led Zeppelin when I was younger.
Sure.
But then I started listening to them when I stopped being a little bit more, when I got a little less critical about fandoms, and I was like, oh man, I've been missing out. They're so good.
Before we get into games, I would also like to talk about the fact that music from my childhood is now on classic rock stations.
How does it make you feel?
It's like old. Because it's
Dude.
like, next up on Classic Rock 105.7,
Hey, Rob.
Nirvana.
Yeah.
Rob.
Next up on Oldies 92.5. Now listen up, here's a story about a little guy that lives in a blue world.
You guys are old, by the way. So
Okay, thanks.
And I would put Beastie Boys in my list of
Yeah.
concerts to see.
Oh, that'd be great. What's your favorite Beastie Boys album, Tim?
It would probably be License. No, I'm sorry. Ill Communication. Ill Communication, like top to bottom.
I do love
is
Ill
one of my favorite.
Communication.
Albums of all time. It is a perfect album.
You know what we should do some night? We should have a rock band night where we just play and sing
Play Rock Band all night?
Would you come do that?
Yeah, I would.
Okay, because you need to listen to Amy sing Beastie Boys.
She awesome at it.
Yes.
I love the Beastie Boys. We used to celebrate a holiday called Beastie Boys Day
Yeah?
in our house back in college, and we would listen to Beastie Boys all day. And it was the week before Thanksgiving, or maybe that was the week after Thanksgiving, and all we would do is play all the Beastie Boys albums back to back, and like shake up cans of Budweiser and like spray them on each other.
Yeah. Amy, her brother Jordan and I used to stay up really late at night just playing Rock Band or Guitar Hero and like singing, and like she'd fall asleep on the couch and like we're trying to like beat like the I don't know. There was actually like a game to it or whatever. But just
I
playing
like
the songs.
gamification of that.
Yeah, and there's so many. I mean, I don't know. Just so many songs that I learned from playing that, or like you can buy so many songs from there
Yeah.
too. Anyway,
I wonder why I never got super into Rock Band and stuff like that, because I think now I'd really love it.
I
I think
always
then
like-
I was pretentious, like, I should be playing real guitar if I'm going to
Yeah.
be doing this.
I always liked Rock Band better than like Guitar Hero because I thought it was more fun to kind of do everything together.
Yeah.
And then like somebody's like singing the vocals and like I don't know. It felt like more of a camaraderie type thing.
Jeremy, who's your favorite Beastie Boy?
I don't know.
Rob, who's your favorite Beastie Boy?
Isn't one of them named Rob?
No.
Maybe I'm thinking of Rob Bass.
Yeah, maybe Rob Bass. Tim, who's your favorite
I
Beastie
don't
Boy?
even know their names.
I know who your favorite
I don't
Beastie
know
Boy
their
is. I don't
names
even have to
either.
guess.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
It's Mike D.
Oh, really? I'm
Yeah.
a Mike D guy too, but I would have thought your favorite was MCA.
He's also good.
I just know
Ad
them as
Rock
the
is also
Beastie
good.
Boys. I don't know their names.
Well, they say their names in every single
Yeah.
song, so you should.
They do. They do that. Yes.
My bad.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Mike D, and I'm back from the dead. Well, my name is MCA, and that's my MCA impression. Then Ad Rock is like, well, my name is Ad Rock, and I like to rock. And those are my Beastie Boys
Okay,
impressions.
Ad Rock is the one I think that I would remember the most.
Ad Rock was my favorite when I was younger. He's like the short, like kind of goofy one. And then
Yeah.
Mike D's like kind of a nerd, but he's also the coolest somehow. And then MCA is like the tough guy in the group, and he's also the coolest somehow.
What's
They're
the
all really cool.
what's the DJ's name?
DJ? Hang on. Why can't I think of their? Because he was later. DJ. Why can't I think of the Beastie Boys DJ's name?
Mixmaster Mike.
Mixmaster Mike. Yeah.
Man, that's a sick name.
Yeah.
That's a four-boy
That's
name.
a four-boy. That's a four-boy.
You know
DJ
what the
name
Beastie
in a
Boys
four-boy
did
band.
that was cool that OK Go did that was lame is the Beastie Boys would make like funny, interesting music videos, and that made them cooler somehow. But when OK Go did it, I think they lost all their indie cred.
Like I remember that first OK Go video where they did the stuff in
Like the treadmills.
being fine, and then it was like 60 music videos later of the same thing. And it's
Yeah. But the Beastie Boys kind of did that though, because like they did Sabotage, which was hilarious, and they did like the Intergalactic video is like so funny.
Then they have like the 5 videos where it's just them walking down the street with the
Yeah.
camera like in their face.
And then they like when they were older, they had they did that huge video that was like 30 minutes long, where Elijah Wood, Seth Rogen, and Danny McBride play them in the 80s, and then Will Ferrell, John C. Reilly, and Jack Black are playing them in like the 2010s, and they come back from the future to have a fight. And, like,
Beastie Boys rule.
That's so funny. And then MCA died like a year later. R.I.P. MCA.
All right, well, let's talk about some board games we've been playing. I'll start off with one called CDSK. This one is the publisher is Randolph, and the designer
Like, just
is
a guy,
Vincent Berger.
like some dude named Randolph.
Mr. Burger.
I don't know.
Okay.
Hachette Board Games is the one that distributes it. This one comes in and out of print so fast that when I saw it at Gen Con, I was like, gonna get it because I've been waiting for a while. It is a trivia game. The playing time on BGA says 42 to 97 minutes.
Interesting.
Which is the goofiest playing time I've ever seen. This one is probably in the running for maybe my favorite trivia game. You play, first of all, they do not give you any game pieces in the box. They tell you to find something around your house that represents your team to like move around the board.
That's cool.
So you get to pick your piece, and what you do is there's 4 different categories, CDSK. I forget what they are, but every card has a 1 through 10 on it, and it might be like, Campbell, how well do you know rock music? Or how well do you know tables? Or, it's something.
Both of those very well. Used to sell tables.
And you say, and you give me a number 1 to 10, and there's 10 different questions, and then so I give you the numbered question that you ask. If you answer it, you move forward that many spaces.
How have we never played this game together before?
Because I just got it
This
less
sounds
than a
like my
month
favorite
ago.
game of all time.
It's fun. And then there's actually some cool spots where there's like challenge rounds where they're all different. Like one might be like, name 10 of these things, and you get to move 1 space for every one you can name. And then at the very last space is like a kind of like a harder type question, like a for the win kind of thing. And you answer that and you win the game. And you can play in teams or by yourself or whatever. But it's cool because you can like the level 1 questions are like super basic. I mean, like anybody should be able to get them. And then the number 10s are usually, even if like the number 10, there was one that was like the number 10 Star Wars question, and I don't think I knew the answer to that one, even though I know everything about Star Wars. You know what? I think I might have known that one. But there's certain ones that like 10 is a risky endeavor. Let me put it that way. Anyway, that is CDSK. Super fun trivia game. You actually, the board is, the box is magnetic, and the board actually, you unfurl the box, and like that's the board you play on.
Whoa.
So the game is basically just a box of cards with questions on them.
Is it still in print? Should I just buy it right now?
I literally, it was just at Gen Con. I don't know if you can buy it right now or not.
Whoa.
Sold out on Hachette Board Games USA right now.
Because this game isn't supposed to be $70, right?
It is $34.99 on Hachette's website. So anyway, I don't know why it's so hard to keep this one in print, but they seem to be having that issue. When I saw it at Gen Con, they're like, yeah, but we're already sold out through distribution again. And I'm like, okay. I tried to get it through Dungeons Gate at one point, and they couldn't get it either. So I'm just going to stream a couple more here. They're all light. This one is called Lifeboats. This is a re-implementation of a game that is from 1993. My version of the game I got is from Broadway Games, and I got it at Gen Con. It's 3 to 6 players. It says best at 6. The designer is Ronald Wettering, and basically in Lifeboats, everyone is a different color of meeple. You've got some captains, and you seed the board out with your crew and your captains, and then there's boats. And every round is kind of like a vote to see, you vote on which boat is going to move forward. You're going to vote on which boat is going to spring a leak. And you also have to jump one of your guys out of a boat in turn order, and then in reverse order, jump back in boats. So you can kind of hop around which boat you're on. And this game is basically just super negotiating. All the votes are through a card system where you just flip over the color you want it to happen, whether you want that boat to spring a leak, or if there's no spaces in the boat for a leak because it's full of people, you have to vote who you're going to throw out of the boat, and that person's just gone. But only the people in that boat get to make that vote. Your captains are worth 2 votes, and your regular guys are worth 1, and they're also worth a variable amount of points depending on what island you get them to at the end. The interesting wrinkle in this game, there are captain cards, and if you play a captain card and you're the only one that plays a captain card, you get 3 of these throughout the whole game. You get to just decide how the vote goes. But if anyone else throws their captain card, both of your cards just don't work.
Because nobody is the captain at that point. That's
right.
Obvious.
So, like, it's just like, when do you think you want to throw that thing? When do you want to throw your captain card just so that other person's captain card will just get negated? If you like kind of mean-spirited, if you can't take losing or you don't take getting voted out of the boat very well, steer clear of this one. But if you guys like some good ribbing, like it's just a lot of crap talking and it's a fairly short game, like half an hour.
Yeah, it can be mean.
I don't know. I was pretty stoked when I saw that it was being re-released because you couldn't get it anymore. And the new production's really nice. So Broadway Games, check it out.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't know. You can definitely get hosed.
I mean, yeah.
Pretty hard.
You definitely you can see exactly who's winning, because you can see who's got who to what islands at any point, and so you can math out what you need to happen. But what you can't always figure is who's going to jump out of what boat and then jump back into a different boat. And it's funny, you can run into a situation where if you jump out of a boat, there's no boat for you to jump back into, and so you just die.
Sounds like it would drive me crazy because I would get stuck in the web of mathing things out of what people want to do. My comfort level for trying to out big brain somebody and mathing things out is the coin puzzle in Rising Sun. But that's not what you're saying. Sounds like it's 3 orders of complexity higher than that.
Yeah, there's I mean, it's a fairly simple game, but there's a lot going on as far as figuring out what's going to happen when. And I forgot to mention, it's Lifeboats Plank of Carneades or Carneades. Anyway, it has a colon and a subtitle there. So if you're looking for it, there's a longer name on that new version.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got one. So I got to play Harvest, which is a small little worker placement game. It was wife and I played it. It was probably 45 minutes. It's 4 rounds.
Is the box small? I've only played on BGA.
Yeah, it's probably
It's a
small
square box.
It's a little smaller though. It's like maybe an inch or so smaller.
It's not a
width-wise,
standard size
yeah,
square box.
and it's thinner.
Did you watch the How to Play video?
I did watch the How to Play video with that.
I'm still having flashbacks from that one.
That chick. Yeah. So basically,
It was so like, she
Yeah.
would not stop joking around. I'm like, I just want to learn how to play this game. Like, I don't need 15 jokes a second
Yeah.
that are longer than the explanations.
that is true. That is. Did you played it on BGA? I know it was on BGA.
I'm currently playing it on BGA. My first game ever with Jordan from our Discord, Australian Jordan.
Okay.
What's up, Jordan?
Yeah, so you basically, there's like 5 different zones where you are either gathering resources for your farm, you're trading resources, you are building into your farm, or what in your farm it starts like forested, so you have to kind of renovate your forest, which then turns them into buildings. The worker placement spots have like action assignments to them, kind of like I guess Tricerion would, where you can do 1, 2, or 3 actions depending on if you're the first person there or not. It was pretty light and easy. The building your farm was cool. You basically like seed your farm, and then you can grow plants in it by watering them. So you don't need to go get the plants to seed them in. That way you just make them bigger, and then you harvest it kind of all on the same action space. So if you get 3 actions, you can plant, water, and farm.
What surprised me, because I wasn't really paying attention, is I thought you would every time you harvested, you just harvest one thing. And so when BGA harvested my whole whole full field for one action, I was like, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, kind of another the thing about the game is that you have to harvest your entire farm every time you harvest, which is a little bit different than most farming games. I thought it was fun. My wife really liked it. It's very cute. The art's very great. You got little personal player powers. I thought it was fantastic.
I think that there's a lot that's really cool about it. I might end up really liking it, or like I think that the opportunities that it has is it's light, and like the things you do feel good. The thing that I feel like I might start, like if I played a few times, I might just get kind of bored with it because it's pretty basic.
It would definitely be pretty basic. I would say, like, for my wife's first worker placement game, I thought it was a good kind of introduction. The turn order mechanism where you kind of draft these, I don't know, they're called sunrise tiles. I thought was interesting.
That's fun.
They have numbers on it with resources, and the lower the number, you get to go first. And I
do like that there's a big variety of like building tiles you can build too. They like, again, for like people who play like tons of games, it's like they kind of all boring. But like I think if I was playing a worker placement game for the first time, it'd be like, look at all the different things I can have on my farm. Yeah. This is great.
Yeah. And there's an interesting like play between you have to clear your farm out to make more room, but if you put buildings into your farm,
they take up space.
They take up space, and so you can't farm as much. So
yeah,
it was cool.
I'll have to check it out. I just I'm not really a big fan of the publisher that came from, because what is it? It's
Parks,
like. And I was just never that high. It's a super popular game, but it just never hit for me.
To me, Harvest has like the same kind of vibe as Parks, where it's like, I understand why other people like the design on this game, but for me, it's like kind of just blah. Like,
but if it plays in 45 minutes, that's what I want Parks to play.
Yeah,
in too,
that's
right?
true.
And Parks for me was always like 2 hours long, and that's just way too long for.
Yeah, I mean
Parks.
you could rip it. It's 4 rounds, 3 where you get 12 actions total.
Yeah,
and the actions are simple.
Yeah,
that sounds fun.
Yeah, so I'd recommend it. It was good.
Also, it's a game that like if we put down on this table, we could start playing in 5 minutes.
Probably
Which is also a bonus.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just played one that's kind of like that. Cities from DeVere.
Oh,
It's
yeah?
a new game, and you can probably teach it in like
That
5,
looked
10
fun when you
minutes.
guys were playing it.
Yeah,
What's it all about? Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a drafting game. So you're building up a grid of a city. Every round you're going to draft one of 4 different things, and you're building up a 3x3 grid of squares. And there's 4 different things you can draft. You can draft new blocks for your city. You can draft attractions for your city, buildings, and you kind of stack them on each other. And then what I thought was really unique was in-game scorecards. So every round you're drafting a new in-game scorecard, kind of building a tableau of 8 in-game scoring cards. So it's kind of interesting the combos you can get, like if you can double up.
So you kind of like choose your own scoring.
You kind of choose your own scoring.
I love that, and I love drafting.
Yeah. It's a new game. It's Phil Walker Harding and Steve Finn, DeVere. BGG says 30 to 45 minutes. I definitely think it's 30 to 45.
It's the new small box DeVere game, right?
Yeah, the box isn't that small though. I didn't think it's.
Did they finally stop making small box stuff so that
it had plenty of room in the box for all the stuff?
You can actually put it back in.
Yeah, this was the other besides Rock Hard 1977. This was the other hot game for DeVere at Gen Con. I actually picked that one up for somebody else while I was in line, and then I was like, man, maybe I should get that myself. But I figured somebody else I knew would buy it. So
it looks cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that light though.
It's really
from looking
easy
at it.
to learn.
It has really cool little building pieces though too. I didn't realize it was that simple, but I think it was like $30.
Yeah,
it's like a pretty nice price point. I mean, all DeVere's games,
all those small boxes are pretty.
Yeah.
The Rock Hard was probably, how much was Rock Hard?
50.
50,
I think.
MSRP.
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, which I mean, it's got like a little bigger game for them, right?
Yeah, so. I mean, it's a
lot in the box for $50.
Yeah.
Who makes Everdale?
Starling Games.
Okay, so it'd be an $85 Starling game.
Got him.
Yeah.
Or if I made games, it'd be $150 because I'm greedy.
Yeah, there'd actually be a rock band inside the box, though.
You'd open it up, and there would be like 500 pages of liner notes about by the way, I actually like Tusk a little more than Rumors, but 1977 is actually a better idea for the.
Have you ever? I assume you've seen the movie American Psycho. Have you read the book?
American Psycho?
Yeah.
I haven't read the book. I saw the movie.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the book's great, but he will go there's an entire chapter on Genesis or an entire chapter on Huey Lewis and the News.
That's so funny.
I just imagine that Cam's Rock Hard rule book is basically American Psycho, but just the music parts. Or just an absolute.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny.
Campbell, how about you?
What? I mean, I was actually going to mention Harvest. That's funny because I had just started playing it.
I played it in real life.
Yeah, I didn't play it in real life. What did I play that was new? Jeremy and I played a game of Jorvik, which I hadn't played in a super long time. I never got to play it as a speaker shot, which is a game about trying to save a burning building better than the other firemen you're with, which is pretty funny because it's like a really, really kind of nasty auctioning game. So we were talking about that earlier. Is I would love to play a game about saving a burning building and have it be like a competition, but it would seem really almost sociopath level to try to prevent one of your fellow firefighters from helping save the burning building. So maybe that's why they changed the theme to Vikings. But it's cool. It's maybe the nastiest mechanism ever for getting cards. The mechanism's not nasty because you're just bidding on cards, and every time you bid, it makes the card more expensive to the person who bid before you. But if they don't buy it, then it makes it cheaper for you when they decide not to buy it. So it's mean to them and nice to you to do that. The problem is you pretty much only have $3 any given round. And pretty much all cards are going to start at costing $5 or $6. And so it's not even where you buy one really expensive card per round. It's not even where you're choosing a couple cheap cards you can get. It's if you choose a couple cheap cards, you might not have money for the next round, and then you just sit there and a whole round passes without you doing anything.
Yeah, that rings true to me. I used to have that game, and I think that's why I moved on from it.
Yeah. What did you think, Jeremy?
It was a lot of bad feelings. It felt like everything you did made somebody mad, and everything they did made you mad.
Yeah.
And then you factor that in with how tight money was, and so you felt kind of jammed up. I think the part that was fun was trying to puzzle out, okay, I really want that card, so how am I going to figure out a way to get that card?
For what the amount of money I have, which is the funnest part of the game, where it's you're kind of trying to trick people into thinking you want other cards.
I was bidding on other things I didn't want, just trying to fool people.
Because you're trying to get yours in cheap. And I figured like the one problem with it too is I sort of figured out how to get money by the end of the game, and I had like no points going into the last couple rounds, and then I destroyed everybody just because I had money at the end of the game. I got like tons of cards and
You kind of price people out of stuff.
yeah. So Jorvik, it's neat. It's like if you like really tight games and super mean games, Jorvik will be right up your alley.
Yeah, I got one more to talk about called Bomb Busters. I want to talk about this one. It's not going to be out for a little bit. I picked it up because it has 66 missions, and I love me some missions.
Bomb Busters.
Yeah, it re-implements a game called Bomb Squad, and it's 2 to 5 players. It's by Hisashi Hayashi and
Hayashi Hayashi?
Cocktail
That's a
Games.
great name.
Yeah, this guy's done a lot of games. Yokohama, Trains, Sail to India. That's his big ones. He's got 76 total games, but really good Japanese publisher or designer. And in this one, it's one of those hidden knowledge kind of games where there's the first 8 missions of the game are really just like training missions, and Bo and I are about halfway through those. But everyone has like a little plastic tray with numbers on it, and there's 4 of every number. And when you get to the full game, there's 48, there's 1 through 12, and there's 4 of all of those. And then there's some variable number of yellow wires and red wires in there, which are like decimals in between. It's like, it might be 6.1 or 7.2 or whatever, but you don't know what those are. And on your turn, you do one of 2 things. You do a dual cut action where you point at one of their tiles and you say, is that a 5? And if it is, you flip over one of your 5s and you flip over the tile you pointed at, or they will, and you cut that wire. If it was wrong, this little wheel goes down 1 and you're 1 closer to exploding. Oh. But the tiles are in ascending order, and so you know from high or low, and then everyone starts off by putting one like little hint token, like you'll put a number pointing at one. So like you can be like, this one is a 6, and depending on your hand, you might choose which. So there's some strategy to deciding like where you want to put that to give information to the table.
So each tile has its own number.
Yeah.
And then you have your hand, and so if they say this is a 6 and you have the 5 and a 7, then you know some information about what that it can't be a 5 and a 7.
Like,
around the
yeah,
6.
so like if let's say we just did a mission where the biggest number we had was a 10, so 1 through 10, and let's say I had 3 of the 10s, and so I put something that said 10 on the third one in, if he knows there's nothing bigger than a 10,
Right, okay.
so he knows I have 3 10s and those are all 10s, right? And so the other thing you can do is if you have all the rest of a number left, you can do a self cut, like where you just flip all those over. Because like, even if you have, like, let's say I had 3 of them to start and I got to flip over, we flipped over one of them and one of his, then on my turn, I could flip over my other 2.
Okay.
Everyone has a special power where you can point at 2. One time during the game, you can point at 2, and if one of your points is correct, you're fine. And then there's also items that we started getting where you flip up these item cards, and let's say the first time you cut a 1 wire, if the 1 card is out, you now have activated that card, and you guys can use that special ability once per game. It's cool. It plays up to 5. If you play with 2 people, you kind of play 2-handed each. And as soon as you get past the 8th mission, like boxes 9 through 20 are like a box you open up and there's more stuff. So and I think there's like 6 of those boxes in there. So I think a lot of replayability, a lot of different things. I don't know. I'm interested to dig into this one more. It was a fairly light price point. I think it was maybe $30. If you like those kind of hidden information deduction-y type group games, like it kind of feels similar to like Hanabi or The Mind or, stuff like that. Only this one feels a little gamier, right? Because it has some items you can do and things like that. So
I just want to say
Bomb
Bomb Busters is a much better name than Bomb Squad. Don't you think? Sounds more fun.
for sure.
Oh, Bomb Busters. Oh.
And it's got like super cute, like little bunny rabbit dudes,
That's
like
what I was looking at. The art.
trying to like defuse the bomb. All right, well, tonight on the podcast, we played Rock Hard 1977. It was released in 2024. You rehearse, play gigs, get a record deal, and become the most famous rock star of 1977. It is 2 to 5 players, best at 4 or 5, ages 14 plus. The playing time is 45 to 90 minutes. The weight is 2.64 out of 5. Designer is Jackie Fox. Artist is Jennifer Geiner. And the publisher is DeVere. Campbell, I feel like you'd be a good one to tell us what we do in Rock Hard. You played it a couple times.
Yeah. So in Rock Hard, you start out as you're just a amateur musician. You want to be the biggest rock star, but the good news is you live in a city that has a bunch of awesome clubs and cool places to hang out and a bunch of different record labels. The bad news is that you have a day job and that you're not famous yet and you don't have a lot of chops or reputation or songs.
Would you say you're almost famous?
No, you're not even close.
Oh, dang.
But that's a good joke. So we'll give it to him.
Day jobs are the worst.
So it's a worker placement game. You're playing from April to December of the year 1977 unless somebody hits 50 points, at which point you go to endgame at the end of the round if somebody gets there. But you're gonna take your actions during the day to like do business type stuff, like try to cut a deal with a record label or hire new roadies or like go do press, on radio stations and try to get more reputation. And then you can go to like a studio to increase your chops in the day or in the evening. In the evening, you also will go play rock shows, like gigs, and the better the gig you play based on your chops and reputation and the amount of songs you have and the amount of gear, that you have, the roadies can help you load on. You can play better and better concerts, which will help you actually increase your reputation and chops and earn you some money and some points. And then in the evening, you can go hang out at like clubs afterwards and schmooze it up with the other cool people in the city, and like it's kind of a mixed bag of what happens, but it's usually just good. At any time of day, you can go like sell your blood for some money, like go give blood, or you can go write a song, or you can go work at your job depending on what time your job happens. You just get a job card that might happen sometime during the day. Also, any time of day, you can take candy, which is this game's code word for cocaine. And that lets you do 2 actions, but increases your craving stat. And if your craving gets out of whack, you might need to spend the next morning action in what they call recovery, which is their way of saying like drug rehab or a hospital or something. So it has a pretty fun like what you think of like a stereotypical like party rock star theme. I feel like I'm missing something here. That's basically what you do. As you progress throughout the game, you stop working at your job and you can get fired from your job, and then you can't use it to make money anymore. But hopefully, you have money coming in from royalties on your record label. There's a fun turn order structure where like what you do at the end of the day, like the less wacky what you're doing is. The earlier you're going to go for the next round, and that can be extremely powerful.
Well, if you go to bed early?
Because the worker placement in this game is pretty tight. All of the rockers and their managers have like fun abilities. So yeah, the game is highly, highly, highly thematic. I like rock and roll, and I thought it was fun and funny. Would
you say you love rock and roll?
I love rock and roll. So come and take a chance and dance with me. Yeah, so it's the Rock Hard 1977. We played it a couple times, and I'm looking forward to talking about it in just a couple seconds.
All right, let's get to the table and come back with our thoughts on
I can't hardly wait.
Rock Hard 1977.
Rock Hard 1977.
Can't stay at home, can't stay at school. Old folks say you're pulling a fool. Down the street, I'm the girl next door. I'm the fox you've been waiting for. Hello, Daddy. Hello, Mom. I'm your Jerry Bob. Hello, world. I'm your wild
think? Initial thoughts on Rock Hard 1977.
If I'm being honest, when Rob showed me Rock Hard 1977, I was like, this game looks like it's going to be a cringe fest. Like, it's just going to be, like, kind of... But then he was like, oh, it's Jackie Fox who's in the Runaways. So I'm like, okay, hopefully Jackie Fox gives us, like... does a good show and isn't just, like, grabbing, like, some... Like, it's, like, not like a joke game, you know? Like, just a joke game. Hopefully she's a real gamer, which I think she probably is, based on this game. Also, I thought it was going to be like a card game or like a smaller box game, not like a big worker placement game. So I actually was like very pleasantly surprised. I think I went in with low expectations. I will say, I think this game was really fun, but I think if I went in with really high expectations, I don't think they would have been met because like this game is a lot more thematic than it is crunchy, you know. But I think if you're expecting the game to be a romp, you're gonna have a great time with it and be surprised at like that it's actually a pretty good game too.
Timbo.
Yeah, I mean it's a DeVere game, it's worker placement, and it's got a cool theme. I was pretty well in. The second I didn't know much about the game at all, and then the second I got my 2 life expectant cards. What do you get at the beginning?
Life experiences.
Life experiences.
I started reading. I'm like, this game rules. This could be great. So, but yeah, it's definitely you have to expect to be for it to be more of a romp than a like highly balanced worker placement game.
Kind of Game of Lifey, or kind of like I played like Jones in the Fast Lane growing up on my PC, where you'll draw a card and it'll be like, the food in your refrigerator went bad today. Guess you're dining out. Sort of like that kind of stuff happens all the time, but it's rock related, you know.
Jeremy.
Yeah, my initial impression, I heard you guys playing at Dungeons Gate, and it just sounded hilarious. I heard Cam say, I'm going to bed early, and Rob saying, I'm having some candy. Oh, I got to go to rehab again. Somebody else was like, I guess I'm going to go work my job. So I just heard all these things, and I kept looking over thinking, what is going on over there? Like, what is this game about? What are the actions? And then I popped over a few times, and I just saw it set up, and I saw the player boards, and they look like little amps, and I thought, this game looks like very interesting and like entertaining.
Yeah, I will say this was on my list because it was like number 1 on the Gen Con BGG hotness list. And at first I was kind of like, whatever. I wasn't totally sold on it. But on the way to Gen Con, I was listening to Rolling Dice and Taking Names kind of do like a mini review of it. And everything they were talking about, this wasn't even like in their top... after they talked about it, this wasn't in their top 3 games of like, this is what I would get at Gen Con or whatever. But everything they said, just the theme seemed to ooze from this game. And Bo was in the car listening with me, and he goes, that sounds like you just are a rock star. And I was like, yeah. So we made it our goal to pick it up. And we got the last copy on like Friday in line. We didn't think we were like going to get it at all. And we met Jackie Fox, and she signed our box and signed her like player aid thing, took our picture. She was very nice. Nothing but nice things to say about meeting Jackie Fox.
Nice.
Very, very cool person. And she's got a cool bio. I guess we can get back into the pros or start into the pros. The back has like kind of a bio of her, part of the Runaways, like 4-time Jeopardy champion. She was like a music lawyer basically too. Very intelligent person. And the rule book's interesting too. One of the first things in the rule book, it says like, why are these rules so long? And it's because they want to try to cover a lot of different stuff and edge cases. And this game, I don't think that it is targeted for a general. You could put this game, I think, maybe like even in a Target, Barnes and Noble, that kind of thing. This is for your average person. Like, if you wanted to teach someone a worker placement game, this is super basic, like worker placement with a lot of theme. And the number 1 pro for me here is the theme. Like, it is everywhere. Starting off the game with your life experiences, you can read those. They mean nothing, but it's fluff and fun.
I mean, they're 2.5 points.
I mean, they are. You get symbols out of them, right?
Yeah.
And the symbols are what matters. You get a job, and you get to choose your job, and those sometimes like you have to work at variable times during the day. I like how the worker placement spot is an anytime action. And anybody can go there and we all can go there, but we all have to go there at different times of the day for different reasons,
For doing
or
your
not
job.
if you're Campbell.
Yeah, my thing is I think the way to be awesome at this game, whether or not you win, is to never go to your job and just become a professional musician even before the game tells you can be one by losing your job. I have worked at my job in the first round of the game both times I played this, but I think next time I play, I'm just going to not even do that. Just, you know what? I don't need this job. This is for suckers.
You just go donate blood a lot.
I've never donated blood in this game. I kept all my own blood. I kept all my rock blood. But in this game, in this play, I did get very lucky so that I didn't need to go. Like, I was actually thinking about going to work a second time, even though I wasn't going to let myself do it. I was like, I could use $2 more. But then a really nice event came up, and I got really lucky and didn't have to go to work.
Speaking of the dollars, I really like just the components in the game. It's acrylic standees. Those are cool.
And money that feels like money.
It
Yeah,
does.
I really
It
don't
feels
like
nice.
paper money in games, but this paper money is nice. Like, it feels more like money, and it all has kind of unique artwork. Like, people have been doodling on it or
Like
spilled
it's,
some coffee.
It's like rock club money, where it's like, I paid my cover at the armpit rock club for $3, and then they gave it back to me in change when I bought my 50-cent beer at the armpit. So now, it's like somebody else has doodled on it. It has like mug stains and like, very stereotypical. Like if there was like a rock kid in a TV show about high school, is like what the rock kid would be doodling in his notebook, like hearts and musical notes and like, devil horns and stuff.
I like the player boards. They're fun.
Yeah.
Cranking the little
Yeah, they
amp
go up to
things.
11.
Mm-hmm.
So all the
They
amp
all
knobs
go to 11.
Yeah, so your player board's an amp where you slot in your individual player power, I guess your player character, and they go to 11.
Which is nice because that's the one musical joke every single person in the world knows.
Yes, yeah.
Like everybody knows it's a joke,
Yeah, the
Yes.
Spinal Tap
Yeah.
joke.
Yeah, even if people don't know Spinal Tap, they still know it's a joke about a
Right, because it goes to 11.
because everybody always talks about it.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I like that the worker placement's tight. I do know like they're maybe a little bit later in the cons. There could be a little bit of gotcha there. I do think using the candy to take 2 turns is fun. It makes it like you can do a lot more than I think you were expecting during a round. And then I really like the asymmetrical player powers, the asymmetrical managers, and the asymmetrical jobs, especially the jobs where you work at different times of day. I think that's really cool. So maybe picking one that fits what you want to do there. I don't like the daytime action, so I want to go to work during the day, that kind of stuff. So I think those 3 things work really well together.
Yeah, I keep picking daytime jobs, and I think that's why I have a hard time hiring roadies.
Yeah, because you're going to work instead of hiring
The other
roadies. Yeah.
reason you have a hard time hiring roadies is because they are expensive. They're the most expensive thing in the game.
They do get, especially if you don't get an early one, which is cool because it kind of makes turn order important. Like a lot of this stuff in the game is very interconnected, and sometimes it feels like you maybe got to take a boring action to do a better action later. But I like all the little pain points in the game like that. And there's some things that might be bottlenecks, but there's also, because there's random gigs and random events and random player powers and then there's usually a way to get around and kind of do something goofy that you may not, like maybe you can do that somebody else
Yeah.
can't do.
And you don't know what's going to, like, there's a lot of, like, just hoping that something goes good, and sometimes it does.
Yeah, which is like
Like when you
life.
flip a card, yeah. Hmm.
So that's why I'm giving that as a pro to this game.
I think it's a pro to this
I
game,
don't
too.
mind the randomness in this game. First of all, because it's short enough, and like that's you're kind of living a life here, right? And if everything went as to plan all the time, that wouldn't be life.
Right.
So it doesn't feel that bad. I like we kind of role play this game a little bit too, right? Like we like to talk about what's happening to us.
I told a story when I took my first turn
Oh,
about
yeah.
how I was going to not go to my job again.
Right, just things like that. And you really are, because there is not as much complexity going on the board, it's a lot easier to kind of pay attention to what everyone else is doing. I don't feel like this is a solitary Euro game where I'm doing my own thing. I'm racing against people to do certain things, and like I actually care about what you're doing. And that's kind of refreshing in a game where like we're gonna take our look back at Barcelona later. I honestly have no idea what you guys are doing most of the time because there's so
Yeah.
much going on in that game, and that's a lot of heavy Euros we play now, right? Is you're kind of in your own world and there's some interaction on the board. But this being a little bit lighter fare, you can kind of absorb more of what's going on in like a total overall game structure. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
You can let yourself kind of get into it.
Right.
You can lose yourself in the music in the moment.
Thanks, Cam.
I like I really like the daytime, evening, nighttime. Like I think it's thematic, and I think having the 3 sections for the kind of the worker placement spots lets a game that you have to do a lot of things kind of narrow down the vision of what you need to do. Like I can only hire workers in the daytime, so I have to like if I need a worker to go perform, I got to go. Or I guess what are they called? Assistants, I don't know what they're roadies, yeah. Hire like, and so you really have to kind of plan. Oh, I need to get a roadie to go do this, to go do that. Or I have to write a song because there's a lot of gates where almost everything that you do that's of note has a gate on it, whether it's the number of songs, your reputation, your chops, or the roadies that you have.
Yeah, you got to crank all that stuff up to play the better shows, right?
Yeah, and it feels really good to like have it broken up in those 3 times a day, and then. I do like that you can't get everything done. Like it takes multiple months to kind of get through and get the stuff that you need to kind of go into the bigger shows. It's not like you have a really good first round and now you're playing a stadium right away. It's a slow build up into getting to those things.
Right.
So this is a double pro that you just brought up, I think. I think you're absolutely right that it's good that you have to do things over multiple months. And it's also, I think, fun because, like, if I think of, like, you know, character progression, like video games where I play, it's like, oh, you know, like, oh, I finished the daytime. Now, like, the mall's open and I can go to my job and increase my style points so that, you know, it's that same kind of thing.
Yep.
That feels really good. But I just realized what actually good game design this is, that you have to do a lot, like, you have to open a lot of your gates in the daytime of this game. Because, like, when I was playing for the first time, I was like, man, it kind of seems like Candy's just really strong. But as I've been thinking about it, as we've played a couple times, there's, like, Candy that gives you extra actions is really good. But if you, like, take Candy a couple times and fail, you're going to have to burn a daytime and not do anything in the day. And that could ruin your ability to do the things you're trying to do because you have to cut a record deal during the day, which will get you points and money so you can stop doing your job. You might have a day job, and if you need that money, you can't do it, so you miss work. And if you need to get a roadie to play better shows, you're just out. So also, if you just get given candy during the game, you know, whoop-de-doo, good for you, but like you have to take an action to go get some candies too. So the action efficiency of candy is actually more of a play now, pay later than it and you could get lucky the whole game and get a couple extra actions off of it, and you probably do get like 1 or 2 extra actions from the candy you take over the course of the game, but you're probably not only getting 1 or 2 maybe more total actions than like after you net the whole thing out.
Right, because you're eventually going to rehab.
Then
if you're
the
really
guy who does
unlucky,
it-
you're doing it multiple
Because
times.
that guy's going to take candy probably once or twice in the game and never go to rehab, and you might take candy 6 times and go to rehab twice and miss out on like playing a better show. And you have to spend money for the candy.
Or you can't hire a roadie.
Yeah.
Or you can't make a record deal. Or you can't go to work and you lose your job.
So this is an example of my opinion of a game going way up in real time.
Yeah.
While we were sitting here thinking about it, so I think the candy system and the daytime system actually are really, really good. Coupled with what Rob mentioned about the choices you make in this game, there are things like when you get stuff, it feels great that you got it, but you wish you had other things. And there's a really good balance in this game between increasing your character's stats so you can do better things versus like paying the piper and like taking the actions to go cut a demo and like trying to jockey into the, which I hated the first game. I was like, why do you have to wait to go get a record label or like a record label to sign you? Because like that's such a big part of the game. But like it makes sense. Like if we all want to be rock stars, that we have to like fight to go get in the record, the record company's door. So So I actually think this game's designed really well according to the theme, and it actually works as far as gameplay goes. And so I liked this game when we started the podcast, but now I really like this game.
I really like the hangout actions at nighttime. Every deck kind of has a theme. I wish what you got was listed on the player aid because that'd be pretty handy. But just knowing that if you go backstage, you can maybe get a song. Songs are hard to get, but you might not. But most cards give you a choice on what you get.
Yeah, and they're fun choices.
Yeah, it's fun. And you're also trying to do like a set collection thing. And when you're racing to 50 points to like end the game, I mean, 5 points out of a set collection is a pretty big deal.
Dear Jackie Fox, I didn't read the rule book, Rob did, but did you call the set collection a set list in this game? Because that would have been a rock and roll joke.
I don't think so, but the player aids are called radio edit.
Oh, there you go.
Jeremy, got any pros? Any other pros?
Outside of the theme, I like the overall progression of building your character up, and it just felt really good to be like, I'm striving to play that show. What do I got to do to play that show? I can't get there yet, but another couple months I can get there.
I got to get to Panda Palace.
Yeah, it's just and in our game we played, I was looking at that biggest show thinking that's going to be impossible to get there.
Oh, one day I'll be playing
Yeah.
Dancer just like the Beatles, just like my favorite band, the B-52s. Sorry, Jeremy.
It was just it was a fun feeling. It was a fun feeling to be like working towards a goal, and we're all kind of doing it together, but we're kind of taking different paths. And I think I would have gotten there if I would have had one more month.
We had
Carter?
Yeah.
I think I would have gotten to
Yeah,
Carter
I tried to
if I
end the
had
game
one
on
more
purpose with
month.
50 points just because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get to Carter
we
because I had to go to
ended 2
rehab
months.
instead.
2 months early.
Yeah, that's the first time the game hasn't gone the distance.
Is this
so-
your third time playing?
Yeah. And I think it partially, you guys kind of want to move into prawns now.
Sure. Yes.
So I think it's partially because there's a mix of stuff. So everyone's got personal goals, and you get to pick some. But some score immediately, and some score at the end of the game. And then there's also the public objectives, where some score immediately and some score at the end of the game. And depending on how those go, if you have all during the game ones, your game could be shorter because people hit that and push it early. Or if the game could go longer because they're all end of games. It also could like show people have an artificial lead on the board. Maybe they don't have as much of a lead. That part doesn't really bother me as much, but there's a lot of... I lost my train of thought there.
Well, I think I can pick it up. I think there's where this game lacks. I think other games that like have tight balance is. I think this game's just a little under play tested with different scoring objectives and player powers and things like that. Because there's overlaps. Like we hit a big overlap today on 2 of the objectives basically being completable in the same round. And so I just happened to get there. And so since we had 2 very similar objectives out, I snagged 16 out of 50 points needed to end the game in the span of like 3 seconds. And so the prawn here is that like it's very thematic, but sometimes the cards that come up in your combination of your manager and your rockstar and the objective and maybe the random show and the event that come out can lead to like, I think some pretty wild benefits that seem maybe a little bit over.
Yeah, you know what some games do for those is you can't pick like this. They might letter some of the objectives.
Yeah, exactly.
In
Like
each
they
pile.
lettered the objective.
Yeah,
pile.
so like you got to have like an A, a B, and a C or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't have overlap like that.
Yeah, and like maybe if like I did a second printing of this game, maybe like I would probably like try to collect stats on like scores with like different manager rockstar combinations and maybe try to balance those out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned, and that's where the end of my thought was.
Or if you just score that stuff at the end of the game, then it doesn't matter too.
Yeah, I mean that's where my thought was. Is I played this with a bunch of different people now, and I've heard everyone talk about how this or that or the other thing is over or underpowered, and everyone's always talking about something different.
Different stuff.
So, and I've also seen people do vastly different things to get to the end. I mean, it's a game, so like, and there's obviously a fairly high level, I don't know, medium to high level of luck. I mean, you roll a dice.
And that's what it was.
There's this or that. I mean, there can be some luck in the game. There's a lot of card draws. There's a lot of events. There's a lot of this, a lot of like the game, because it's so event driven and card driven and different things can happen, that just ups the randomness, right? So
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably fairly hard to balance. But like I said, I don't think that bothers me in this. I think it's kind of interesting to see how the different things that are either over or underpowered have the game play out, because I've seen one person complain about a character and I've seen another person win with that character, right? So I think it's gone both ways. Or that I've seen the same thing with a manager.
Yeah, I think it's probably more that there are combinations of both the manager, the characters, and how your personal goals and the end game goals come together that can lead one person into like smashing a couple goals. I think I did it the first game. I think Cam did it the second game.
Yeah, well, there's just timing luck
Yeah.
that I had where, like, I got to save a ton of money because I had a good dice roll, and, like, a random show came up that unlocked the game for me, so I didn't have to, like, I basically, one card in a dice roll opened a pretty major gate for me, as Tim would call it. And then I just got to roam around in the meadow strumming my bass guitar.
So here's what I'm thinking, at least, because I think a lot of the stuff is, I mean, in a game like this, I feel like, obviously, it's always your game. You can do whatever you want with it. But a game like this is open to a little bit of tweaking. Mm-hmm. And, like, one simple thing was, I think it says you put out as many managers as players. Well, I think with the managers, when it's stuff like that, I always like to do one more than the number of players.
Sure.
I think I would do it barrage style probably. And maybe you don't want to do that with people like new people or whatever. But if everyone knew the game, you just put out the managers and the players and either pick a combo of them or like snake them back and forth and let the players decide if someone can get some kind of crazy broken combo.
And you could put them
or
out,
thing
and you
like
could
that.
you could like bid points on them too.
Yeah, or something like that. I mean, that's like super easy. Like that's what lots of games do for this kind of scenario when there's a lot of different stuff going on. Or you just, if you follow Peter Alaka from Cosmic Encounter fame and say, what does he say?
What does he say?
Get good.
No, something about balance is for wusses
Balance
or
is
something
for
like
wimps,
that.
yeah.
Balance is for
But
wimps.
this is kind of that kind of game, where like, I was under the gun with my last play, and I was like, oh, my artist is struggling. I like this, and I finally came out from under the oppression of not being able to get famous, and I got super famous. I didn't win, but it felt good. And then in this game, I could just tell that my guy was a stud, and it turns out he was. He got the best record deal, and he wanted to play Yenzer.
Yeah.
With Jeremy.
To bump into
Best show of the game.
It was the best show of the game.
the randomness is that when you take candy, you flip these candy cards, and I don't know how many cards there are. 10, 12, something like that.
I think there's 8.
8. Okay. One of them is you get twice as much.
Yep.
Usually you get an extra action. One of them you get 2 extra actions, so you take 3 actions. One of them you just don't do anything. That one hurts.
In that game we just played,
Yeah.
I got the extra actions twice.
Yeah.
And you got
I got an
zero
extra
twice.
I got an extra action once, and I got 0 3 times. We had to end up
3
having to
times.
undo one of them. But like,
Yeah, it hit me 3 times one game as
Yeah.
well. It doesn't feel great.
yeah, I mean, like if you're just going to go through it to get, we already talked about how getting candy is kind of a pain, right? And you kind of want that to pay off. I think I would just say skip the deck. Everybody gets 1 addiction and 1 action, and you just roll on. Because not only missing 1, but hitting 2 can be very, very good.
Yep, that's just another level of randomness. Anachrony has a similar mechanism where you roll a dice and it's 0, 1, or 2.
Yeah.
And same thing, like they have a variant in the thing that's just like, or you can take 1 every time.
Right.
But at first, in my first 2 games, I was like, yeah, but this is about rock and roll and this
Yeah.
is drugs. This
Right.
is a random thing. Like I get it. It's thematic. I'm into it. After 3 games, I'm like, yeah, it's thematic, but it's also an extra layer of randomness that I don't think is needed.
On top of
Plus, then you don't got to shuffle that deck every round. So.
on top of tight worker placement,
Yeah.
on top of events and other things that can some of them are just, you can't go to these worker spots this round,
Yep.
and some of the events can be a little bit tough. And so, you kind of stack all those things together, and it's like, it's a little bit too much randomness for me.
Yep. Another pro
Random.
is the rule book is pretty good. It covers pretty much everything, but the candy rules are fairly ambiguous, and I feel like the candy.
The iconography on the board for candy is pretty bad.
Yeah, it took me 2 or 3 games to like. I think we've finally kind of played it all right, and then to go the other way. The designer does have an FAQ on BGG, and she is super responsive. Like, I posted one during our game today, and she actually already responded.
The good news on the
wow.
candy thing is if you were to imagine that you're trying to get 2 things done at the same time of day, if you close your eyes and you think, could I do this and this like within 4 hours? And the answer is yes, you can probably use it for candy.
Right.
But if you think there's no way, you probably can't use it for candy.
So the toughest thing is you basically, here's how it breaks down. You cannot do the same action twice with candy. Even if it has a no candy symbol, you can still do that action and another action that has the no candy symbol, but you can't do the same one twice. So, like, you can't hire crew twice, but you can hire crew and like go make a record deal or whatever.
Go do an interview.
Or go do the interview. But what's weird is all the shows, even though they're different spaces, you can't play 2 shows.
Which makes sense.
Which makes sense, but it's weird because they are all different spaces. And then at nighttime, you cannot hang out at the same place twice, but you can hang out at 2 different places. And if you go to bed early, like you can't go, like in our second play, I had the +2 actions, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to go hang out at 2 places and then go to bed early. Well, that doesn't even make sense, like, thematically. I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And so I tried to figure out if you could or not, and then that actually is in the rule book. But I kind of quit going to the rule book in the candy section just because I felt like it was kind of convoluted and messy, and I didn't think it was in there, but it did end up being in there. Basically, if you go there, that's all you can do. And the other thing is with candy, once you roll and you have to flip the sugar switch on, you can't take more candy.
To get more
Load it
action.
up, yeah.
Right, or you can't go recover and fix it. You got to wait till next round and you recover and then you do it. So I would say that is the most confusing part in all the plays we've had so far. I mean, now that I know it, like teaching it's fine. And today we played it all great, but
It just leads to like more edge cases and weirdness of like,
Yep.
can I go here? Can I go there? That kind of thing.
yep.
And
Can I go here?
Do you guys
Can I
think
go
money
there?
is tight? Do you think-
It
I think
can be.
I think money's perfect in this game.
I going into it, I thought with the theme, I thought money would be tight. Like you'd be the starving musician. I don't know if it was just the guy I played. Probably was the guy I played.
Well, you got
but
like a discount.
I got
right?
a discount. It seemed like I had plenty of money the whole game. What was tight was the action spaces and trying to get your stats to where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
I
kinda
always
liked
had
that fun.
exactly enough money, or I was all like. There's sometimes I
That's
didn't
kinda
have
how-
money, but
right.
I didn't have the money to do my actions. Like you
I think that's a pro.
specifically had a dude that helped you out with your money.
If
situation.
anything, I think money should be a little tighter at the beginning because, like, both times I've quit my job after the first time and then just barely scraped by, and I sort of feel like it should be a little harder to do that.
I think it is. I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would agree with that.
if you've lucked, but you lucked into like getting money certain
No, like
ways
I
or
set up.
whatever.
So both times I played this game, I've set up so that I can play like a gig pretty early and like get paid that way. It might not be as much as my job, but at least I'm doing what I love, you know.
Oh, that's
and
true.
and like you can kind of do that. So, but like I will say, like this game, the reason I blew like the lid off of it is because I was getting ready. I was saving up my pennies to record a demo, but I was able to get a record deal from that show that lets you record a record without having to go to the demo
So you
tape
didn't
place.
even need the
And
demo.
so I
Yeah,
had now. So then I'm
one-third
sitting on
chance.
$4, and I'm like, I got $4.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can go get another roadie.
Yeah.
And then like that just made it great.
I really like the random gigs. They're fun, and like you never know what's gonna pop up, and like everybody can go do that one. So it's kind of fun to do that. I mean,
I think I like the money being not so tight, and it's more about trying to get your stats where you want, because then it feels more progressive and like rewarding than like holding you back and punishing.
Getting your stats up feels good. I wish it felt better because I love stats, but for the length of this game, I think the stats drive enough of it, you know?
yeah, I like all the gating and prereqs and stuff too, which kind of follows that. But it does lead to like the demo space being weird because it's like you go do that one time and then like you never have to do it again.
So
But like that's fine because that's it. after hours anyway, where you want to be going to hangouts and stuff, right?
It reminded me of Terminus a lot,
Yeah.
where like if you miss, I'm like almost a loop, right? You go day, evening, night, day, evening, night, day. Like, and if you need something in the morning for something at night and you miss it in the morning, you have to go through a whole nother year before you can get it. And it felt like, going around that board, like, oh, I got to go a whole nother lap around to get
But
the thing that I need.
every time you crash and have to go to recovery and you miss that morning time when
Right.
you're supposed to be doing something good during the
not
day.
Hiring a crew would probably be the biggest one.
I
Is that
know.
like you need 3 of them to do the big thing. You can only hire 1 at a time, so that means you have to do at least 3 of those actions in the game to get to the stadium. And it's just if you miss it, like, and bumping up your income is also I don't know. Daytime actions seem really good. I think daytime jobs are probably the worst. If you're like just even one round of
That's
missing
true.
a day.
But they
And
pay
I-
$2.
And I keep taking the day job.
Right. So like I don't know. The
Well-
loop feels good, and if you miss something, like it's kind of a tough haul to get back around.
The nice thing is, so like, I think this game rewards like a little bit of like savvy setup. So you get your 3 goals and you get your 2 possible jobs, and you have your manager and your rockstar. And if you look at what your manager can do and what your rockstar can do, like you should be able to, like, sometimes you just get trash jobs, but you should be able to look at your jobs and be like, this one works better for me because I can exploit this stuff on the other times a day. Because you need sort of a time of day that you're gonna like crush out, like, and make your rockstar better. And then like as you're still like not famous yet, you have to find the time to go do the boring stuff. And so I think you can get around that pretty well. But if you just if you just draw 2 things that are basically exactly the same, which can happen, that's too bad.
I think one con for me, and maybe it's more, this is something you should know going into it. If you like a game where there's a million paths you can go down and we're all doing very different things, this feels like there's some tunnels it's pushing you towards. You got to get your demo, you got to get your record deal. And it's kind of nice because it limits your choices that you're trying to think about. Like playing Barcelona, there's so many choices and so many paths you could go down. It can be overwhelming. If you're somebody who doesn't like a game that kind of push you a little bit down a track, you might not like this as much. But for me, if I like the simplicity, I like the trade-off of the simplicity and the theme and kind of the easiness to play it. But I think that it, like, if you want something that's very complex, where it doesn't feel like the game is kind of pushing you ways, you might not like this.
Now,
as
to be
much.
fair, you can go a different direction if you want in this game, and you can just take a job where you can work it all 3 times a day, and then you can just stay in that job instead of, I'm just a waiter, and I just take every action as a waiter, and I'm like, at the end of the game, I haven't done anything, but I'm like, well, I got $78, but
Yeah. I mean, because you have to do, like, you cannot win this game by just rocking out your songs or your reputation. You have to do all of them to be able to, like,
You got to be a little bit balanced.
yeah, you have to be balanced because all the stuff takes,
But I like that there's different paths to get there,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
I think
get
you
there a lot of
could win
different
this game
ways.
without a record deal, though. I don't think you
think
ever have
so?
to actually go get one. It just makes it much easier because it pays you so much if you have a good one.
Yeah.
It pays you and you don't have to do an action.
Exactly.
Like, I think you could
Like
keep
if you
your
keep doing your job, you gotta do that action every time.
Instead of having a record deal,
I think you
like,
could.
but you just have to find a way to, like, you'd have to have like a combo that like juices your stats somehow.
It just depends on who you are and your manager and things you've drawn and events that have happened. I mean, one con is like events. If you don't like random events, there's certain times where it could flip over and you can't do something during a round that maybe you needed to do. That can just happen. Pro or con, it goes to 5, and I don't think it's terrible at 5. Like,
I agree.
It's not super long at
Is
5.
there any more spots at 5?
Nope.
It
No,
does
no,
feel
it's
more
tighter.
It's
oppressive
just
to get
tighter.
anything done in the daytime.
Yeah, there's a 2 and 3 player side of the board.
Going to bed early felt good in
And
that game.
I haven't played 2 or 3 players yet. I think that might be fun. And there's a bot that looks like it's pretty easy to play for that. That just kind of takes up spots. So whether you like
A
that
bot
or not,
spot?
yeah, you can optionally play with the bot with 3 players. You don't have to, but you have to play with them with 2. All right, let's hit our final thoughts on Rock Hard 1977. Here on the Board Boys podcast, we have a 3 Boeing rating scale, 0 being the worst, 3 being the best. One time ever, you can give your 4 Boeing game. Half Boeings are allowed. I would say a 0 Boeing game of Rock Hard is you just get stuck playing the Bar Mitzvah your whole life, and you're the wedding singer from
The Wedding Singer.
The Wedding Singer.
I mean, I feel like that guy ended up having like a 3 Boeing ending. Like he did it. He got everything he wanted, right?
And I think the 3 Boeing game is you're a rock star, but you stay off the drugs and you invest smartly in a 401k and stocks.
You play at the biggest shows.
You play the biggest shows and you retire comfortably without any health issues.
See, mine was like, I was going to say, you do drugs day, evening, and night all the time. You always roll 6s. You're just constantly taking 2, 3. You're always getting the double bump. You're just going.
Here's the thing. Like I think it would be hard to be like you can have a great musical career as a studio musician or a backup guy or something like that. I think without having like some real problems in your life. But I mean I think like you sort of have to have like something going on, like 99,999 times out of 100,000 to be a legitimate rock star, right? There's got to be, you got to have an edge somewhere. There's got to be like gambling or drugs or like deep depression, or maybe I'm wrong about that, but like you need something in your life that gives you that sharp, jagged, like people understand real ones. Makes you a rock star.
Campbell, why don't you hit us with your final thoughts?
Maybe I'm wrong about that. But my life is perfect.
Right.
That's why I can't be a rock star. I'm joking. I ended up liking this game way more than I thought I would. And after talking about how it's designed, I think this is like... It almost sounds kind of like rude what I'm about to say, but I think it's like the best possible like kind of throwaway game I've ever played, because like it's not. I think the Jackie Fox set out to like make a real game with this theme, but it's hard to separate a theme this big from like every other like big theme game I've ever played in my life, you know. And so I don't mean it that way. I think this is a real game, and the hard part is like, do I judge it as harshly as I would a real game?
Yeah.
Or do I give it as much grace as I would give like a thematic game? And I think that the answer is...
You're saying thematic games aren't real games?
No. Like thematic games are real games. Like, you know, like when you go to like the Target shelf and you see like a bunch of stuff with like bright colors and like, you know, where like it's just like an IP sort of thing, or you know what I mean, like a simple.
I mean, this is a hobby game, man.
That's what I'm saying is like what I'm saying is like I want to judge it as a hobby game and as like a theme game, and I think in one sense, because it's both, it's gonna get a boost over a lot of stuff, but also because it's both, the shortcomings are there too. So, did we give points to it yet? Am I first?
Yeah.
I think this game gets a 2 for me, but a really strong 2. I think this game's awesome.
Cool.
I don't think it would get a 2.5, but I think it's really fun. This is just an editor's note as I compile this episode. I don't know what kind of candy I was smoking when I gave that score, because I've been listening to this review and I think that I made a huge mistake. I don't just want to give this game a 2.5 Boeing. I want to give this game a 3. It's one of the coolest games I've played all year, and despite its mechanical lightness, I think it's brilliant. Jackie Fox crushed it. I'm so sorry for that.
Yeah, I also think it's really fun. I think if you're a person that doesn't like a lot of randomness in a game, it's probably not for you. You're going to have to give up some expectations for the theme. I think it's theme first and then balance second, kind of feels like. For me, I want to give it a 2.25, but I think I'm going to give it a 2.5 just because of the theme. I think it's fun. The worker placement's good. I think anybody could play it. I believe the theme drives like the rules and understanding of the game, and you just have to say, hey, sometimes someone's just going to destroy this game. We're going to end 2 rounds early, and it's just going to be what it is. And you might lose a couple things, and you're the guy that never made it as a musician, and you're kind of sitting, in your trailer now.
I've been bouncing between a 2 and a 2.5. What makes me want to say 2.5 is the theme, and it's easy to learn. It's easy to play. There's a lot of feel-good moments. It's fun to joke around about what you're doing. And it is a legitimate hobby game. I want to say 2 because, and maybe I just need to play it more, but it felt like there was a path that I needed to go down, and the game was kind of pushing me down that path, not giving me as much openness to kind of do whatever I want.
I would say in the second play, it felt the same way. Like, you have to go do these things. You might not have to get income or whatever, but all the other stuff, you got to go get songs. You got to go get reputation. It definitely felt that way.
So I think I'll probably end I'll end with a 2. But it's still a lot of fun, and I would play it anytime when somebody's bringing it out. I think I think you said this, Rob. It's not the game where I'm just sitting there in my head trying to think about how do I play this? What am I going to do next? What's my best option?
It's not the game to maximize every single point and just be like,
no.
Yeah.
But it's a fun experience then to play it with a group and just have fun.
My final thoughts are: this is a beer and pretzels Euro game.
Yeah, that's a
100%.
perfect.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
Yo, Rob threw out beer and pretzels.
we had pretzels.
Hey, BJ, you listening? Rob called it a beer and pretzels game.
We had
these green balls too. I don't know what they were.
Watermelon
we had-
sours or whatever.
Yeah, man.
Buckies.
Yeah, that's me every day, dude.
You're just snacking, talking with your friends, making crap up about what's going on with your rock star's life. And for that, I was wavering in the same zone you guys are, but I'm going to go 2.5 because I love theme, and this is about as thematic as you get when it comes down to it. Also,
It's close.
I
for
can
me.
play this with, this is also what I'm going to throw in my neighbor's game category.
Oh, yeah.
I'll just play this with anybody. Amy would play this game. There are some more. I know it says 14 plus. There are some more adult type. I mean, obviously there's candy / drugs, but some of the cards are
They're a little risque.
a little. I mean,
Innuendo-y.
yeah, there's a little bit of innuendo.
I don't think the candy's a bad innuendo. I think everybody gets it, and I think it really is safe enough.
Yeah.
But some of the cards, I think those could use maybe a second edition as well to make this I think the candy a kid can play, and you can be like, yeah, it's candy, whatever.
Yeah.
I think they did that with really safe language. I don't think they did that with the cards. The
Yeah,
cards
I
are a
think
little there were a couple where I was like, ew, that's a little gross.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't. I mean, it doesn't bother me as much as it's probably going to go over a kid's head, but there is a little bit of that. So I'm going to go 2.5. I think it's great. This isn't a game I'm going to play every week, or whatever, because it is. I don't know that the replayability on it is super high, but once again, replayability for me at least is not a huge deal. I don't play the same game that many times, so if you own 5 games, maybe this isn't the game for you. But maybe it is because this is up your alley.
I was really surprised. I just wanted to say a different game by comparison. When I played Tim's copy of Distilled, I was like, yeah, I never need to play this again because it's really thematic. But I've been playing it on BGA, and I'm like, actually, I really like this game.
Me too.
And I don't know if Rock Hard 1977 would open up a hidden depth for me because I think Distilled is actually quite more complex than this.
I would agree.
Yeah.
But you never know.
Yeah, I mean, this has got like I said, the weight is. I mean, 2.64 even feels maybe a little high for this one. Besides the weird candiness thing, the gameplay is super straightforward. So, all right, well, that was Rock Hard 1977. Let's do our thing where we take a look back at an older game.
Cam, hit us.
Baby, turn around. I wanna see that sexy board game go. Bar bite bomb.
Or dump.
All right. 1 year ago, we played Barcelona. Original rating 8 for 32.93, 7.8. It's clearly
That is the fattest bump.
a big old bump.
It's in the top 300.
Big bump.
It is not in the top 300.
Ooh.
It is not. Take a guess.
500.
It's pretty close. How about you?
390.
Nope. Rob's still closer.
What did Rob guess?
500.
This is not Price is Right rules.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 412.
808.
501. Bob.
808,
808.
baby.
Yeah, 808. Just
Wow.
just perfect for the rock hard. So
Yeah, just getting a rap hard 1987.
rap gods. So
This game is much better than Rap Gods.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So Barcelona. We did not put a post down for Barcelona. It didn't look like for
We
feedback.
didn't?
No, I didn't. I don't see it in our guild.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
I failed. We must be out of future posts.
Yeah. So we're gonna refresh that one. But we just got to play that in. I played it a bunch of times since then.
I played it twice this week.
It's in my top 10. We played with the expansion, which I thought was fine. I don't know. I didn't even touch it. So
Yeah, we played with the new Passage de Gracia expansion. I think it is completely unnecessary, but in the same token is fun.
Yeah.
And if you play with it, I think you could ignore it or go into it hard and be fine both ways. The more I've played Barcelona, I don't know that I like it with 4 people.
Yeah,
To be honest, like, I was actually kind of looking forward to playing it with Jeremy, 2-player. I mean, I like playing with you guys too, but like I don't know that I've played it at 2 yet.
It's good.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel like I'd get to do more stuff, but just the building every round. The game ends way sooner than you think, and I love this game I love the gameplay so much. I love everything you do in it, like everything. But if you don't laser focus on something, you can just kind of get lost in the weeds and not do super well.
You definitely do more stuff. The building, well, you can do more stuff. The building in a 2-player game is a lot. You have to be a lot more lenient on what actions you want to do if you want to build. Because if you're putting stuff down on one side of the board and your opponent's putting stuff down, like it takes a couple actions to get buildings on the board. So
for me, for Barcelona, the more I've played it, it's really down to, do I place my guys in this spot and do these actions I only kind of want to do so I can do a building? Or do I place my guys in a spot where I want to do the actions?
Yep.
And like, I hate that decision so much.
I love it.
For me, I always do better when I just do whatever I can and build. The last 2 times, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just do the stuff I want to do. I haven't done nearly as well. And it's because I think with the things I'm trying to do set up for a longer game, then the game ends before I kind of get where I need to go.
100%. This is exactly the way I feel every time I play Barcelona. Sometimes I feel dumb when I play it, and when I play a game that makes me feel dumb, I usually like it more because I like being bad at a game and then getting good at a game. I'll go home and go to bed and think about how I could have done better, and then I'm excited to play the game again. Barcelona seems so arbitrary to me all the time because I'll have these ideas about how I'm going to get the end game scoring and build all of this thing or all of that thing, and every time I try a new strategy, it's always just most of my points came from just where I placed my things. And then I just pick up things that other people put down, and then I just get a bunch of points. And so I feel like most of my points come from just playing the game, and exactly what Rob do I just go build a building? That's what hurts about it. But I still like it. I still think it's fun.
Jeremy, you had your first play. Yeah, like I said, I love everything you do in it. What'd you think, Jeremy?
It was fun. I definitely need to play it again. There's a level of, and maybe it's playing with people who played it a lot, being efficient and maximizing seems like you need to play more and kind of see. There was a turn where Tim helped Cam see this crazy combo to do all the things he wanted to do.
It had to have been 70 points. It might have even been 100 points.
I think he lapped the board.
That turn that I got a ton of points, it was 95 points.
Yeah.
And I look at that and go, I don't know if I could ever see that combo.
That was with the expansion stuff.
Yeah, he set himself up.
So I, the whole game I was working towards doing what I just did there. And so I did get that payoff, and it was great. But so here's my 2 gripes is if you had just been I've had enough, I would have never gotten that turn. The game would have just ended, and I wouldn't have had enough turns really to do that. Now I could have laser focused and probably still done it if I'd known, how fast I needed to do it in previous times. But 45 of those 90 points came from also just the arbitrary facts of just being able to build a building too. I guess that was 18 of the points, right? And so if I got 90 points so if I got 70 points from setting up the whole game and I almost got 200 points, then 130 of my points came from just arbitrarily being able to build a building. And 70 points came from my plans.
I believe this game is a balance between being very, very tactical on exactly what you need to do and capitalizing on where things are on the board in combination between, your end game scoring objectives, the objectives on the board, the round scorings, and, what you're trying to do. And if you kind of meander for a turn, you can miss out on 20 points.
I'm pretty sure that game was 7 or 8 turns long, and that's it.
Yeah.
And I think you have to get those Modernismo tiles and do that end game scoring.
Yep.
I don't think there's points anywhere else that can make up for that fact.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, you run your tram a little bit, gets you a bunch of extra points, and gets you to do another action. But it all just depends on what's on the board and what's scoring and stuff.
That's true. It's got a good mix of strategy and tactics, I think. And I guess just for those of you that know Barcelona, if you're interested in the expansion, it's a small little box, fairly inexpensive. It's not out yet.
You can order it from Board and Dice.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's shipping soon, or it should be out soon. But basically, all it does is add a sideboard with some dice that are these pedestrians, and you're trying to up their joy value as they walk down the road. And there's some random tiles that go on the road, and if you meet the requirement of the tile as you go down, they go up a pip, and when they meet each other, they go up a pip. And when they get to the end of the road, depending on their joy value, you're going to get points, and you can potentially put down a tile on this board that can give you more points or resources or Serta bumps based on these other tiles that are on that board that you kind of do a multiplier of how many times you've done that stuff. So everything in the expansion just seems like you have to build up what you're doing in the game to do those things. So when you do the expansion thing, you get more stuff out of it. Whether you maximize like Cam did it, or you just kind of do it as you can and you get little small bimps and bumps. But Tim won today and didn't really touch it.
I did not move a guy or bump a pip on any.
You didn't move a single.
Nope.
You didn't bump a
pedestrian?
pimp.
Yeah,
Did
but
not
that's
bump
pretty
a
much
pimp.
the entire expansion. There's not really much.
I like
to
the
it.
expansion. I thought it felt
that was
like
cool.
it was
Yeah.
part of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
it's not it's the kind of expansion I like because it kind of added just a little bit more stuff, and the piece it added on, it just kind of replaced some things. And if you taught somebody that part of the game from the beginning, I don't know if Jeremy would have really
I think maybe I would have ignored it if I would have known, because it was jamming me up trying to be efficient, getting the actions I needed to build them up so I could build my pips up.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't get my pips where I wanted. So then I think I probably would have had more fun if I just would have ignored it for the first game and kind of learned the main part.
So I give Barcelona a 2 to begin with.
Let's see. You gave it a 2.5. Cam gave it a 2. I gave it a 3.
I think it's a 2 for me.
I'm still a 2 on it.
Yeah.
I'm glad
Could be bad.
old Cam is on the same wavelength as new Cam, because a lot of times in retrospect I'm like, I was really wrong there,
Yeah.
for better or for worse.
Yeah, I mean,
First
it's
play,
pretty-
I give it a 2.
2. Yeah, it's pretty close to me, but I think it's downgraded slightly. I want to play it with 2 players and maybe try the solo.
So hey, real quick, we didn't mention it at all. She made a Spotify playlist for you to play while
Oh,
you're
yeah.
playing the
She
game,
did?
which is awesome.
Yeah, that's what we were
Yeah.
listening to.
Yep.
It's on Spotify. It's the 1970s playlist.
It's not only from albums that came out in 1977, which hurt me a little bit in the heart.
Campbell wants to make a 1977
Hey,
playlist.
There's so
Hold
many
on, real
albums that
quick.
came out in
Why don't you make your
77.
own?
Yeah,
Make your
before
own,
this
Cam.
episode releases, Cam will make a playlist of 1977.
If
only
I have the
songs.
time, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll
Period.
include it in this thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
it's done. You're doing
Done.
that.
I already put it in stone.
Ew.
Your wife and child are in a different country, Campbell. You got time.
When does this episode come out?
2 weeks.
Yeah, bro.
Okay, I got time.
It doesn't have to be a super long playlist.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, it probably has to cover 90 minutes.
So 20 songs would get us to probably 85 minutes. So
All right.
22 songs. I can give you guys 22 songs from 77.
All right. Well,
Albums that came out in 77. I know that they get recorded in 74 or whatever. I'm not going to mess around with that. I'm just album release date,
perfect.
UK or US, or if I happen to do something from Japan, but that's not really the point of this game. Another Cam note, I did indeed make a Spotify playlist including only songs that released on albums in 1977. The link is in the description. I'll also drop it, I think, maybe in the Board Game Geek forums. If you'd like to listen to it while you play Rock Hard 1977 or just an afternoon around the house, be prepared. It is 5.5 hours long. 78 songs from 78 different artists. I'm sorry if your favorite 1977 album isn't on there, but I doubt it because there's 78 songs on the playlist.
All right, well, thanks for listening to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 15, Episode 3, Rock Hard, 1977. Go to theboardboys.com for all our cool links. You can join our Discord. You can become a patron to go to our Patreon page. You can check out our Instagram. Play with us on BGA. I'd like to thank our patrons now. Hammond Buckland, BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Timothy Crisco, Shifty Teeth, Jeff Gray, Andre Bosch, Braden Dowdy, Rob Cooper, Richard Lane, Matt Kelly, Board Boy Jeremy Thelman, and Dom Lakin. Thanks, everybody. Thanks to you, Jeremy, for joining us today. Filling in
Thanks
for
for
Board
having
Boy
me.
Jake. And
as Elvis Costello said in 1977, my aim is true. You know that one?
we hope you like board games.
Yeah, there we go.